Hello, my name is Spencer and welcome back. If you're new, I like to make tiny dorky projects to escape reality for a bit. In this previous project, I made a giant octopus flipping a ship over in the middle of the sea. I got this 3D printed scaled ship off of Etsy and I'll include the link below. However, this ship came along with 3 other ships alongside it. Each of these seafaring ships are high quality models, and I wanted to use them once I found inspiration. Additionally, one of my current goals is to work through all the unpainted plastic on my shelves. Each of these ships are at 1 to 1200 scale with 1 large brig and 2 smaller schooners. I don't have too many opportunities to say schooner, so I'm going to lay it on pretty heavy for this video. For a base for this diorama, I found this wooden drink coaster at my local hobby store. It ended up being about the perfect size to fit some schooners and a brig into. Since this diorama doesn't really have any hardware that needs to be built, we can swap over to the painting mat already. To start off, we can prep our materials for a flat black prime outside. To prime the models, I just usually use double-sided tape and the bottom of a plastic desk shelf that I don't use anymore. Then, because I was feeling a little bit lazy, I applied a brown base coat to the bodies of the ships through my airbrush. I started with a nice chestnut brown layer from Vallejo. Then, I applied a lighter brown layer from above to highlight the wood. I used a Vallejo brown sand layer for this step. Then, I applied an off-white color onto all the sails of the ships. I wasn't following a specific template for this, but if I saw a color and thought schooner, I decided to run with it. Once the airbrushing was done, I could go in with my actual brush and clean up a bit of the details and the edges. Then, I went in with a Vallejo steel metal color to paint the anchors, cannons, and gun ports. This project gave me an opportunity to practice my schooner terminology. Then, for each of the sails, I got to practice some of my fine line work and edge detailing by adding some dark brown supports to all the sails. Then, for a final detail, I came in and painted up the flags. Flags are one of the areas I really feel free to use whatever colors come to mind. So for this fleet, I used a lime green vermilion pattern based loosely off of the flags of Japan and/or Bangladesh. Next, we can move our schooners off to the side and focus on our sea base. For materials, we'll just need to use some aluminum foil. First, I dry fit all the ships onto the base and took some small pieces of aluminum foil and put them in the gaps between the ships. Once I made sure that everything would fit, I glued down the smaller bits of crumpled foil onto the base. Then I pushed all the foil down as much as possible with my hands. Then I wrapped the whole of the base in a larger piece of aluminum foil and cut out a perfect-ish circle with my hobby knife. Once cut, I applied glue to the entirety of the inside of the base and overlaid the perfect-ish circle onto the smooshed foil clumps and squished it in a similar technique as the previous step. I gave it some time to dry, and then I put a layer of PVA glue onto all of the foil. Once the glue had dried, I needed to prime the base again as I was a bit overzealous in my first round. Then on went a layer of Vallejo dark sea green to the entirety of the imperfect circle. Busting out my airbrush again, I could come back in and put layers of blue-gray onto the raised surfaces of the water. For this, I used Vallejo's Luftwaffe uniform. Then, I built up a few more lighter layers with some increasingly off-white tones. Then, on goes a full layer of Vallejo's still water effects to all of the water. Once dried, we can add a small bit of glue to the undersides of our brig and schooners and affix them onto our wet base. Once properly affixed, I went in with some Mediterranean blue water texture to the entirety of the proposed water areas. I took my time with this step, trying not to get water where it shouldn't be, and making as realistic wave patterns as possible, all while ruining one of my lower quality brushes. Once the texture had had the chance to dry, I went in with a white-blue glaze to highlight the most raised points of the water. Then I took a small strip of sponge and stippled on a random off-white pattern onto the absolutely most raised portions of the water. I did accidentally ruin one of the sails of my schooners, so I decided to do a last-minute pivot and make the top sail a larger version of the flag onto the canvas. Finally, we can paint the sides and the rim black and move on to some glamour shots. I'd like to thank each of you who stayed through till the end of this video. There's a lot going on right now, and this is my little escape from reality, and I really enjoy sharing it with you. I'll be back with another project soon enough, and maybe even another story to tell. Thank you all again. I'll see you in the next one, and I hope you have an excellent week.